Hello and welcome to For You. I'm Reese.
And I'm Laura. Hello, Reese. I miss you.
Dream team, we're back. I miss you.
I
I miss you
know,
so much too.
totally. 为什么你那么帅? Why do you look so hot?
Oh, it's just the camera. It's just the video. It makes me look better than in real life.
No. 哪有啊？
Hey
你本人也
Laura,
很帅欸。
I'm feeling kind of hungry.
Okay.
So can we do
And
something about that with today's article? It's called Molecular
okay.
Gastronomy.
Oh my
Spices
God.
up your food.
This
That
sounds
is a
really
mouthful.
complicated. I know. Can you please say that word again? Molecular gastronomy. Everybody's probably
Molecular
wondering.
gastronomy.
I know everyone is probably wondering what is it? 就是分子料理。不过想要知道更多的话, we're not going to say too much because that's what we're going to discuss today later.
Our article is kind of about strange ways of making food, so I thought that first maybe we could discuss or share ideas about the strangest foods that we've ever tried before. What's the weirdest thing that you've ever eaten, Laura?
I don't think it's that weird, but I kind of, when I mentioned it to my friends, they were like, ew. Just when I went to Japan, I tried tuna eyeballs. They are actually yummy. They are really yummy.
Ew.
I know. See, that's the reaction you guys get. And also in, I think, Asian or even Malaysia, China, I don't know about Korea, but in Taiwan for sure, we actually have this bird's nest soup, 燕窝, and it's supposed to be very, very good for our skin. Just you will have perfect skin like mine. Okay, but I haven't tried some of the weird foods. I do want to try Thailand's fried bugs or crickets.
I've had some fried bugs in Beijing, and they were not too bad. They kind of just tasted like crunchy oil. But I think one weird thing I had in Beijing, and actually in Beijing this is a delicacy, is a donkey burger with donkey meat. It's really good.
I'm gonna cry. I love donkey in Shrek.
They are
Yeah.
cute. Maybe you guys can talk to your friends about the weird foods that you've eaten. But for now, let's get into our article about weird gastronomy food.
Reading. Molecular gastronomy spices up your food. You walk into a restaurant and you look at the menu. To your surprise, you find pork and egg ice cream in the dessert section. Are you curious enough to try it? Or does the thought of it make you want to vomit? This kind of food is an example of molecular gastronomy. Molecular gastronomy uses science to create foods that will make you say, wow. Edible chemicals are added to foods to create special forms, flavors, and textures. The name molecular gastronomy was invented in 1988 by two scientists from the University of Oxford. Nicholas Curti and Hervé Vis wanted to find out how a food's taste is determined by chemical reactions. They then used science instead of traditional cooking methods to create something different. Now, imagine a tiny apple that tastes just like meat or spaghetti with a vegetable flavor. The special thing about these is they make your brain expect one flavor but deliver something completely different. You really must try these foods because they'll blow your mind.
So today's article begins with an imaginary situation. You walk into a restaurant and you look at the menu. To your surprise, you find pork and egg ice cream in the dessert section. Ugh.
Ew, gross. 所以一开始我们就进入今天本课文章的情境。你走进一间餐厅，然后你看到它的 menu 菜单，可是令你惊讶的是，你竟然看到有一道菜在甜点区，超额的哦。Are you guys ready? Pork and egg ice cream， 猪肉跟蛋的冰淇淋哎，我才不会点嘞。To someone's surprise， 指的就是令某人惊奇的是。I don't think I'm gonna eat this or try this at all.
No, it sounds terrible. So that phrase, to one's surprise, one being yourself, If something is to your surprise, it means you didn't expect it. It was a surprise. A nicer example could be, to my surprise, the rain suddenly stopped and the sun came out. But pork and egg ice cream, that is not a good surprise. Okay, well, back to the article. There's a question. Are you curious enough to try it? Or does the thought of it make you want to vomit? Well, it makes me want to vomit. So vomit here is used as a verb, and vomit is when you feel sick and then all of the food and water or whatever you've been putting inside your body comes out of your stomach, up your throat, and out of your mouth. It's not a nice experience. Okay, well, back to the article. We're going to get a bit of an explanation about why this food exists. This kind of food is an example of molecular gastronomy. That's that strange phrase we saw in the title of the article. Let's talk about what it means. So, molecular is a scientific word that talks about tiny, tiny parts of things. If something is molecular, it exists or is happening to something that is so small we can't see it with our eyes. And gastronomy is all about food and cooking. So molecular gastronomy is about using the science of tiny things to cook food in interesting ways.
Okay, that sounds very complicated to me. OK, 我们这时候就要提到一个大家可能一开始还抓不到它的感觉，但是我们文章都会慢慢的解释哦。刚刚我们提到了那个听起来很怪的食物，其实它这种食物就是分子料理的一个例子。分子料理来学一下，就是 molecular gastronomy， 可以在就是你们家跟着我们一起念这个这么复杂的字哦。Tell me more about this.
Well, the article will. It says molecular gastronomy uses science to create foods that will make you say, wow. Edible chemicals are added to foods to create special forms, flavors, and textures. Okay, so a bit more about molecular gastronomy there and some interesting words to talk about. The first word is edible. Edible is an adjective and it's super easy. Edible just means you can eat it.
好，其实为了这个 molecular gastronomy， Laura 我呢真的很认真上网，想要去了解这个东西。那帮大家整理一下，让大家更了解哦。就是这个风靡全球的分子料理，他们是一种怎么样透过物理啊，或者是化学的变化，然后它是利用可食用的化学制品哦。所以刚刚有提到可食用的就是 edible 这个形容词，然后把食材的样貌啊、味道啊、口感，然后还有质地，再重新的怎么样组合成一道让你会觉得哇哦的一道新菜。
So we also saw the word chemical, which is a noun. A chemical is a distinct compound or a substance.Especially one that has been artificially prepared or purified. Okay, more hard words. Let's break it down and make it easy. Basically, that means a chemical is a kind of thing, usually something that's made in a lab by scientists and is used in experiments or to make other things. So chemicals are made by people, usually or sometimes using things that we find in nature.But the important thing about a chemical is that it's been processed by people. We use chemicals to clean things or to cook or to make things hot or cold. Chemicals are very useful, but they can be very dangerous as well. An example sentence with chemical could be, the classroom is full of different chemicals. Don't touch anything without your teacher's permission.
我们来看一下 chemical 这个字，就是化学物质或是化学制品，它是一个名词哦。举例来讲 ，the body produces chemicals that are natural painkillers. Did you know this? 其实我们的人体，它们自然就会有排放，就是自然的这个止痛的一个这样子分泌，让我们就是有时候可以自愈的能力哦。
That's super cool. Yeah, the body is amazing.
I know.
The body can also detect flavors. So flavor is a noun, and the flavor of something is the way that something tastes. Flavor doesn't mean good or bad. It's just talking about how something tastes. Something can have a salty flavor or a sweet flavor, and we all have our own preferences, things we like or don't like when it comes to flavors. So an example sentence with flavor could be, red bean has a nice flavor, but I don't like how it feels in my mouth. True story.
I know what you mean. It's the texture, right? Okay, flavor. 我们先来看这个字哦，它是味道或者是风味，它是一个名词哦。举例来讲，我觉得在煮饭料理的时候一定会用到这个字。Add a little salt to bring out the flavor of the herbs， 就是加一点盐，会使这个草啊，或者是芳草的味道会更加的鲜美，或者是 This wine has a light fruity flavor, the taste of fruit. 这种葡萄酒有一种淡淡的水果香。And of course, my favorite ice cream flavor is cookies and cream. Do you like cookies and cream flavored ice cream?
It's also my favorite. Are we the same
不要闹
person,
了，
Laura?
真的。We should live together, okay?
We should.
真的
Okay,
超
another
棒
word to
的。
talk about is the word texture, which we've used a few times already. Texture is a noun, and texture is the way something feels. We can use our skin or our fingers or even our mouths to feel the texture of something. We can sometimes even see the texture of something and maybe imagine how it feels to touch. So a teddy bear has a soft texture, and chalk has a dusty, hard texture. Texture is also important in food. How the food feels in your mouth or mouth feel can actually change your experience of eating it. The main reason I don't like 地瓜球 is because they have a weird QQ texture. I don't like it very much.
Excuse me, okay. 我们现在不能当室友. We can't be roommates because I love 地瓜球. I love chewy. I love stuff that is very, very chewy, like gummy bears or 那个甜不辣. Do you know 甜不辣? So chewy.
Yeah, I don't like it.
我们一直在聊这个东西是什么？就是口感 ，texture 就是口感。Okay, well, hello， 我跟 Reese 其实现在我们不能当室友，我们会打架，因为我们可能会为了地瓜球打架。Okay, why don't we move on and find out more about our article, Molecular Gastronomy?
So back to the article, it says the name molecular gastronomy was invented in 1988 by two scientists from the University of Oxford. That's in England, where I'm from. So the article used the word invent here. It's a verb, and invent means to be the first person to think of an idea or to make something. Inventors used to be pretty common before we invented everything, but nowadays it's hard to come up with an original idea. An inventor is a person who invents. And to be an inventor, you must be the first person to come up with the idea. An example sentence with invent could be, the compass was invented in China over 2,000 years ago.
Wow, I didn't know that it was invented by China. 好强哦。
Yep.
OK， 我们回到课文提到，就是分子料理这个名称呢，其实它是在1988年被两位在牛津大学，没错，就是在英国。我觉得刚刚 Reese 是不是有点想要 show off？ Anyway， 的科学家所创造的。I know a lot of British scientists are very, very smart. OK， 好，那我们当然就要来学一下其中提到的 invent 这个动词，就是发明啦、创造啦。I wish someone would invent an everlasting cell phone battery because I'm really sick of like charging my battery all the time, or when it's almost dead, I'm like, 怎么办？我要赶快充电。所以如果有人可以发明永远不需要充电，然后就是有 forever 的那个 battery， 就是能量的手机，我会超爱的。And of course, I think of Thomas Edison, the great inventor. 就是 Thomas Edison 就是爱迪生 invented the phonograph 就是留声机。那刚刚有提到 University of Oxford 就是指牛津大学，是在英国哦。
So we've seen the word scientist here. Scientist is a noun, and a scientist is a person who works in science. There are many different kinds of science, so there are different kinds of scientists, but usually when we use the word, we're thinking about a person in a white lab coat working with chemicals and microscopes. Without scientists, we wouldn't have many of the important inventions or medicines that make the world work today. An example sentence with scientists could be, I love learning about plants and animals, so I'll be a biological scientist when I grow up.
Wow, you sound really smart, Reese. OK, 因为我觉得 scientist 好难哦。OK， 他们要做的事情有很多，而且有很多种类的 scientist。首先，我们先来看一下 scientist， 当然就是科学家，它是个名词。有什么种类呢？像是 a research scientist， 就是研究型的科学家，或者是 a nuclear scientist， 就是核子的科学家。Did you know this? Listening to music helps with memorization. 听音乐会帮助记忆力哦，因为 according to scientists, singing new words makes them easier to remember. 根据科学家指出，他们说用唱的新的这个单字会让人更加清楚哦。Oh, that's why I always sing to my students.
Okay, so back to the article. Nicholas Curdy and Hervé This wanted to find out how a food's taste is determined by chemical reactions. Sounds interesting. Let's talk about the word determine. Determine is a verb, and to determine means to cause or make something happen in a particular way. Think about cause and effect. If thing A is determined by thing B, that means thing B causes thing A, or at least is a partial cause. Imagine a game of soccer. The score is 2 for each team, and there is 1 minute left. The next goal will probably determine who is the winner of the game. An example sentence with determine could be, your grades at school will determine the size of your birthday gift this year.
Oh, 我真的很想要 get good grades so I can get a big birthday present. 好，回到课文提到的呢，就是这两位哇很厉害的 Nicholas Curdy 跟 Hervé This, OK？ 他们呢想要找出食物的味道是如何被这个化学反应所影响的哦。所以我们先来看一下其中提到的 determine 这个动词，就是决定或是控制。像是呢 your health is determined in part by what you eat, OK? 就是在某个程度上，你的健康状况取决于你的饮食哦。
There's another word to talk about. It's the word reaction, which is a noun. When we're talking about people, a reaction is a way that somebody's face or voice or body tells you how they're feeling. But in science, a reaction is the result or what happens when two chemicals are put together. Some reactions can be small, but some can be big and crazy. Have you ever seen a video of somebody putting Mentos in a Coca-Cola bottle?
Yes.
That's a reaction. The results can be quite funny. So an example sentence with reaction could be, burning a match is actually a chemical reaction. The phosphorus in the match reacts with the heat and starts a fire.
OK， 我们来看一下 reaction， 就是化学反应在本课的意思哦。在本课当中 reaction 是当作化学反应的意思，不过呢，其他很多时候的用法，它只有反应的意思。举例来讲，我非常喜欢观察人们在听到我说我是谁，他们的反应。I love to watch people's reactions when I say who I am. I'm Laura, teacher Laura from AMC. You know, some students, they actually know me from watching our magazines. OK， 还有呢，我们常常会说 there has been a mixed reaction, like basically people have reacted in different ways to the new policy. Mixed reaction 就是指不同的反应，可能有好有坏。
Okay, well, back to the article. We're almost at the end of this day. They then used science instead of traditional cooking methods to create something different. Ooh.
那他们接着会用科学而不是用传统的烹饪的方式来创造一些不同的食物哦。这里提到一个非常重要的文法 instead of。OK， instead of 如果是当介系词来用，表示并非怎么样，或是而不是怎么样，通常你可以放在句首或者是句中，然后后面接名词或者是动名词。OK， 那 instead 跟 instead of 常常可以怎么样？可以互换哦。举例来讲 ，He didn't want milk, instead he had juice。那这个我就可以这么改写 ：He had juice instead of milk。他要果汁，而不是牛奶。所以 instead of 后面接的是不要的，要取代掉的东西。
We're going to go back to the article. We're almost finished. Now imagine a tiny apple that tastes just like meat or spaghetti with a vegetable flavor. The special thing about these is they make your brain expect one flavor but deliver something completely different.
OK， 现在我们要大家来幻想一个情况哦，就是一个很小很小的苹果，但尝起来就像肉。又或者是蔬菜口味的意大利面，这些东西特别的地方就是它会使你的大脑预期，这应该吃起来像什么味道，但是却给你截然不同的另外一个味道哦。这里的 deliver 是指给予或是提供的意思哦。
Okay, and then the final line of the article is, you really must try these foods because they'll blow your mind. I love that phrase. To blow your mind. It means to be so amazing that you can't believe it's true.
没错。最后文章就说，你们一定要试试看这些食物，因为他们绝对会让你感到震撼。Blow one's mind， 有没有把你的大脑有一种震撼的感觉，或者是让你印象深刻，让你极度兴奋这样的意思咯。I love that phrase.
Well, that's the end of the article for today. Let's go to our For You chat question to discuss some more molecular gastronomy.
For You chat.
Okay, here's our For You chat question. For you, Reese, would you like to eat something that uses molecular gastronomy?
Sure, why not? I mean, I'm up for trying almost anything as long as it's made ethically. So yeah, I would definitely try some interesting flavors. Even if it was gross, I would try it just to see what it was like. Yeah.
Yeah, same here. I'm pretty curious.
Yeah. Maybe you guys can think about this question too. Would you like to try food made by science? You can talk about this with your friends. But that's all we have for today. We'll be back for more molecular gastronomy tomorrow. So we'll see you then.
Bye!
Vocabulary Review.
Chemical. Putting these chemicals in the water will help clean the pool. Flavor. Which flavor of ice cream would you like, chocolate or strawberry? Invent. People rode horses before the car was invented. Scientist. My father is a scientist. His job includes collecting data and doing tests. Determine. Many people believe that success is not determined by money, but by what you do in life. Reaction. The fire in the factory started with a large chemical reaction.
智慧小补帖
Vomit. Molecular gastronomy. Edible. Texture.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。 如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net